My name's Tom Eskridge. I've lived here in Molalla for about 8-9 years now. My wife and my daughter are here. We moved here because I got a job with Kodak. And I am probably the proverbial traveling salesman. I've traveled and fixed computers and products for most all of my life. And I never actually had a chance to get involved with the community because I would fly out on a Sunday and fly home on a Friday. For my entire life I did that. In the last couple of years I've actually had time to step back and look and see what's happening in the community. I'm a chief petitioner for the Selwood Bridge project. I really am offended that they want to take our money that we need so desperately out of our county. And the chief here has been really good to me and given me information about what's going on with the fire board. And I got to tell you, from what I have read and what I've seen, you people here have the best fire department in the world. Yeah. This fire department, I'm stunned by what I see. But I really, really want to be involved in this because it's passionate to me that I'm getting older. Knock on wood, I have never ever in my life needed an ambulance, and I've never ever needed the fire department to come to me. And I really feel that it is important for each one of us to make sure that the service that these fine people provide to us is available when we need it. And if we do not have that, one of these days, one of us is going to be sitting there waiting and no one's going to come. And that's why I'm involved, is I want to make sure that this fine institution is funded the way it should be, has the tools it needs to have when it needs to have them. And I just cannot tell you, I've really been looking at what they do and what they have to work with, and it is very, very critical that we provide the tools and the training and the personnel to make sure this fine institution keeps going. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike Towner. Currently the board member for Molalla Fire District, and we moved to the city of Molalla about 10 years ago, wife and 2 kids. Since we moved, jumped in probably both feet, pretty active in the community, started working with school district budget committee, then progressed to the fire district's budget committee, worked the soccer program through MYS until my kids kind of graduated out of that, and then evolved into the board position. I too strongly agree that we have one of the strongest fire departments in the state. I mean, for what we have, I just couldn't be prouder. And that's why I'm looking forward to another 4 years of helping guide and direct the department in that direction. Personally, I've been in the fire service for 23 years. Started out as a volunteer and currently I'm a paid firefighter in Tualatin Valley. I see both sides of the fire district, both volunteer and paid, how they both work together, the advantages, disadvantages, and I'm able to bring, I think, to Molalla Fire and to the district itself some outside ideas, programs, and inspirations that other departments have used that I've experienced throughout my career. Spent a little time in Southern Oregon, spent the majority of my life in Central Oregon. So we're here until the kids graduate and beyond. This is our town, and I look forward to hopefully spending another 4 years on the board and progressing with the department. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Wolf. I'm currently a board member with Molalla Fire District number 73, board vice president. I've lived in Molalla for about 20 years, and over that time period, I've seen the city grow by leaps and bounds. I mean, when I first moved here, it was about 3,700 people. Saw a big metal built, Shellmore built, businesses come in, things change, and really love the community. I moved here for the small community feel, and still get that. And what, along with that small community feel, you know, it gives you the opportunity, with a small community anyways, to, you know, volunteer and be involved with the community. You can, you know, I first started off with the parent group at Molalla Elementary School. I was the parent group president for a couple of years, and my wife took over, and we did that for about 12 years and raised a bunch of different money and had a bunch of different fun events there at the elementary school. And then got involved with budget committee for the city, which I'm currently still on. School district budget committee was on for a couple of 3 different terms. I love the city. I love doing things, volunteering, you know, active in my church, and that it's a really good feeling to do those type of things. And I'd really appreciate the opportunity to serve on the fire board again. And I have, you know, pretty good knowledge of the fire district. Between being a volunteer and a paid firefighter, I've been involved for about 26 years. As about 5-6 years first as a volunteer, then about the last 20 years as an engineer paramedic with Clackamas Fire District #1, which is a neighboring fire district to the north of us. So I have a really good knowledge of what it takes to do the fire service, money-wise, personnel-wise, equipment-wise. There's a lot of different things that go into running a fire department, and I think I have a good knowledge on that, and I would really appreciate the opportunity to serve again. Thanks.
All right, thank you for the opening statements. Now we're going to go into the 2-minute questions. We'll start down at the end with Stephen in the number 1 position. What do you think are the 2 biggest challenges facing the Molalla Fire District these days?
Well, it's been pretty well stated. I believe the 2 biggest ones, and it has to be the all-encompassing one, is what they do with what little money they have. Their area is quite vast. Most all of their equipment is older than, and some people maybe in this room, and that is one of the biggest things hurdles they have to do, is to be able to maintain the highest quality of service for everybody in the area with the equipment they have, keeping it repaired, keeping their staff trained. It's a common misconception, and it's not educating the public that, well, you hire a firefighter, go. And police are the same way. The unfortunate thing about that is, yes, you hire a firefighter and a paramedic, and the entire year, in a year cycle, they're going to a class or a school on a weekly basis. They're constantly training. Well, that costs money. And we want to maintain the level that they maintain right now with the funding. And so funding is the primary concern they have right now, and to keep the equipment.
Thank you.
I firmly agree with all of that. I don't think a lot of people that are not involved in the fire department know, and I was shocked when I read about it, is that on nights and weekends there's only 1 person in the fire department. Regulations say if there's a fire, 1 person cannot go into the building and rescue somebody. By law or by rules, there has to be 2 people that go into the building, and there has to be the same equal number of people that are outside the building. And so staffing is absolutely critical to this type of activity. I'm amazed at what our firefighters do. Training, equipment, some of the trucks and equipment they have are 1985, 1986. They have 180,000 miles on them. We've got to provide the resources that this fire department can grow, and because we're growing. Our student population is kind of stagnant right now, but we've got a lot of senior citizens, and I'm becoming one, which kind of frightens me. But we have a lot of people that really need to have an effective, on board all the time fire district that has more than 1 person. I would be kind of freaked out to be that single 1 person all night long, knowing that if something really bad happened, I would hope that my volunteers would be able to get up and come in. But You know, it's vital that we provide them with the money and the resources and the training and the new equipment that they need to do their job.
So, dealing with the board for the last 4 years, there are a lot of issues and challenges for the fire district. They've all mentioned the finances. I'm going to say volunteer retention. The community itself has changed dramatically. The local high school, college person, or even the person working the grocery store that could be a volunteer isn't easily allowed to just leave their job in the middle of the day to come down and respond on a call. If they're responding during the night, they're expected to get up the next day and show up to work at 6 o'clock in the morning because economy is tight, jobs are tight, and the demands are just not, are there so much on the personal side that being able to actually volunteer and dedicate the time required and the hours required for the training and the commitment to the fire district are immense. And so the amount of resources that the district has to pull from for volunteers is very, very limited, and it's becoming more and more limited. So those resources, or drop in resources, as well as the lack of funding, the age of the equipment that's involved, all those things just compile into you know, some pretty serious things that we need to address as a fire district. Probably the biggest challenge that we have right now is actually educating everyone in Molalla, from city to rural, as to what their fire department actually does for them. Those in the rural aren't so worried about the fire protection as much as they are the medical, and those in the city are more worried about both medical and fire protection, and understanding that their fire department isn't City of Molalla Fire Department, it is Molalla Rural Fire Protection District, and covers all of them everywhere.
Like Mike said, there's many challenges. I think of the top two are probably money and volunteer retention, or you know, getting volunteers to do the job in the first place. As far as the money, right now we collect 78 cents per thousand of assessed value, which is half of the lowest other fire department in the district or in the county. Where I work, you know, we collect about $240 a thousand. You know, with that 78 cents a thousand, we can't have a fire prevention bureau. We can't have a staffed fire engine in town. You know, we have the staffed ambulances, which, you know, really are busy. Over 2,200 calls about last year.
Wow.
And a lot of those are some long time consuming calls. During the week when the medic transports, it might take 2 to 3 hours to transport, depending on the local hospital that they go to. And it's really difficult. Sometimes, you know, volunteers can staff and can man the station, but you know, people have to leave their work sometimes to do that, or they can't because they're in Beaverton or something. They're just not available. Money issues are really big. If we had all the money in the world, it would be terrific. And then volunteers also. There's been basically kind of a disincentive from Internal Revenue Service that we cannot pay volunteers per points system. And over a 3-month period, they might get $400 or $500 for their work over the last 3 or 4 months, which is next to nothing, and responding multiple times to the station on calls. We have a hard time, you know, satisfying